Welcome, amazing agents and investors from across the country. Today is July 3rd, 2019. And Chad, this is Mastermind call number?
Role play number 44.
Thank you. Role play call number 44. We got a great turnout, guys, and this call is for you. You get to hear Chad and I talk probably more than you like. So we do not have anyone in the queue. Please hit *6 and hit 1 if you have something you would like to role play with our coach. Nothing is off limits. Nothing's out of bounds. Just places that you're getting stuck. Oh, that's why. No wonder I didn't enable the Q&A. My bad, guys. The queue is now open. Hit *6 and hit 1 if you'd like to role play something, and you will be first up.
You're really slipping on vacation, man.
Yeah, see what happens if I don't arrive 10 minutes early. I'm just like, I get out of sync. We still don't have anybody in the queue. Come on, guys. We got 56 people on the call. Don't make me beg. There we go. Hit *6 and hit 1. Now they're coming in. Good job, guys. All right. Chad, anything you want to say before we get started?
No, I'll just add, this call is really, it's not just about the negative. It's not just about where you're getting shut down. Like, we also want to hear from people that are finding success on the phones, and whether that's your first call or your 1,001st call, like, we know that, we try to teach you a framework so people can go out and build their own strong sales language. And we want to hear that too. Like, if you have something that's really effective, that you're not afraid to try something on for size and it works, please step up and share that too, because this is, 4 years ago, there was hardly any competition at all in this space. But each day we see a little bit more competition. It's not hard to sell against them because most of them have a very simple, selfish offer. But if you found ways to overcome that in your market and you've got language that's working really well for you, please step up and share it, because it helps us all kind of innovate and improve what we're doing in our markets.
Absolutely. We have 2 in the queue, guys. Plenty of room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1. First up this week is phone number ending in 7533. You're up first.
Yeah. Hello, this is Donna. How are you today?
Great, Donna. How about you?
Doing well. So I'm definitely brand new to this probate. I've been a realtor for a long time, though. And so what I've done is I created a script for myself to get started with the phone calls I've made. I've gone through about 50 names already and made some of these calls, and I was wanting to run by you the script or how I take the call. Can I share with you what I say when I call people?
Sure. You want to role play with Chad, and you can be the agent. You're brave.
Yeah, I am. That's okay. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Ring. Call Chad.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi. Is Chad there?
This is Chad. Who is this?
Hi, Chad. My name is Donna Hastings with Keller Williams, and I'm calling you today in reference to the probate case that you're connected with. And first, please let me give my condolences for your loss. And then I would like to ask if there was any real estate involved with the case.
All right, I'm going to break there. Tell me what your response has been on the phones.
Some people say thank you to the condolence. I've gotten some people to tell me that, yes, there is real estate, and then I ask them about their plan. Other people tell me no. Some people have said, we're going to rent it, we're keeping it. So I've gotten a wide variety of responses at that point.
Sure. What market are you in, Donna?
I'm in Pinellas County, Florida, the St. Pete, Clearwater area.
That's shocking that so I'm going to be critical here. That's why you're here. 4 years ago, I would have said, that's great, keep moving forward, and we would have role played. Now what we're finding, like, if you use that language in most markets, you'll get the door slammed in your face. The points that I want to point out to you is you titled yourself as a realtor. You offered condolences to somebody who you didn't know, and that's a trigger for a lot of people who are still emotionally hurting. And you went straight for the jugular on real estate. Now, 5 years ago, I would have made that call the same way, but what we've learned over time is there's a much better way. And we offer a broad scope of service. So I'm assuming you've built your team and you can come up with a clean-out crew, a senior moving company, a registered investment advisor. You could bring anyone to the table to help, right?
Yes.
So the idea is to appear from a marketing standpoint, and early in the conversation, we want the appearance of that vertically integrated solution. So we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into just being a realtor. We want to say we have a team of people, we have a team of professionals here locally that help families going through probate. Now, we're looking for, as fast as possible, we're looking for our segue into the real estate conversation. But rather than being that direct and making it seem like the sole purpose for the call, it can roll something like, hey, I'm glad I caught you. Well, my name's Chad. I've got a team of people here locally that focus on helping families in probate. And as part of that, we're in the courthouse quite often, and we noticed that you're an executor. So we wanted to reach out and make sure you know that the service is here in the community and see if there's any way we could help you. Is there anything you'd like to, if you could get anything off your plate right now, what would that be? So we're giving them permission to talk to us about anything. Now, we know that statistically 79% of senior citizens own real estate. 80% of Americans' wealth is held in their real property. So there is most likely a property, and there is most likely an urgency to sell in order to liquidate that, to get liquidity in the estate so everything else can be settled. We know these things. We don't have to let them know we know that yet, or that's the purpose of our call. Once they start talking, when you ask them that open-ended emotional question, usually they'll vent, and they'll say, oh, it's just an X, Y, or Z could be their problem. The idea there is become a good listener, because they're going to give you the pain points, which will be your service roadmap from that point forward in the conversation. Usually the next part of the conversation is, okay, well, listen, it sounds like, what we do could really help you guys. I'll say this, most families that we work with, their biggest struggle is dealing with real estate. So tell me, is there any real estate in the estate? And if so, do you guys have a plan for it? And then just be silent. And then, so you found a convenient segue by saying most families, their biggest struggle, the biggest challenge is the real estate. So let's talk about that first. So you're still presenting this, wide scope of service. We can help with anything, but let's narrow the conversation down to this one piece that's the most painful for most people. And the result is if you do have competition in your market and they're just going straight for the real estate, and it seems like they're just selfishly just want paid off of someone's death, it's a much different perception. It looks like a kind of a social enterprise in the community that will help with many different things once you understand what their challenges are. And we just find that'll get you into a lot more conversations, and it'll get you a lot more engagement. And so if you haven't heard us role play that before, I mean, obviously I did some there, but we talk about this on almost every role play call. Do you know where to find our role play archives?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I've listened to some of them as well.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, the fact that you're doing, like, you're not getting blasted is good. That means you have good delivery. Because in most markets, like if you would use your script in California, you would be shut down in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because you have people who call themselves real estate investors aggravating the hell out of these folks. And in your market, I'm surprised you don't have more pressure from investors. I'm glad you don't. But I think if you remove the title or replace the title with something like probate specialist, probate expert, we have a team of folks here locally that have been put together just to help families like yours, whatever that is, whatever's comfortable for you, make it a title they've never heard of. Because if they have talked to other people and they've what's common is they establish this pattern of running people off, and they'll give you false objections or just flat out lie to you because they know how to get you off the phone quickly. Like that kind of eliminates that, because it's like all of a sudden their pattern doesn't work anymore. They're in a whole different conversation with this person, and what's she talking about? She can help with everything. So that's more effective.
I appreciate that because.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to add.
I appreciate all the points because I did feel like I was going straight into the real estate part of it, and sometimes the phone calls were very short. I mean, they were polite, they weren't rude, but it was no, and that was it kind of thing. So I knew there had to be another way to get them to open up and to have more of a conversation before you get into the real estate. So I appreciate the advice you just gave me because that was good.
Yeah, I was going to share with you.
Stepping up.
Oh, absolutely. That's brave to be the agent. To be the agent. Very few of our subscribers would do that. I was going to share with you when I first had this idea and tried this almost 6 years ago now. I used to start by saying, I'm sorry for your loss. And it didn't, unfortunately, you don't know them. And it sounds patronizing. You know what got my attention? One day a guy said, I said, I'm sorry for your loss. And he said, don't be. Dying was the best thing that son of a bitch ever did.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kind of paused and said, well, in that case, congratulations. The guy said,
yeah,
you've got a sense of humor. But that's what kind of made me realize it's well-meaning, but it isn't a terribly effective way to start. What I found to be a lot better would be to say, hey, this is Jim. I'm sure this is a difficult time for your family, and that's why I put a whole team together to help you. Show empathy, but don't show false sympathy. And it comes from the same place, but it's better perceived. If you feel like you need to acknowledge the loss, you can certainly say, I'm sure this is a difficult time for your family, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I have this whole team of people to help you. And the open-ended question, like Chad said, is always great. So what's been the most difficult part of it for you so far? And they'll usually tell you, once you get a little bit of rapport with them.
Okay. Great.
Make sense?
This has been fabulous. Yes, absolutely. I took a lot of notes.
All right. Well, thanks for starting off. We really appreciate it. We have 2 more in the queue. We got plenty of room for more, guys. Don't be bashful. Hit *6 and then hit 1 and you'll be up next. Next up is phone number ending in 5988. You're up next.
Hey, this is Sandy calling from Los Angeles. How you guys doing?
Hey, Sandy.
Hello. So I jumped in the queue. I was feeling bold, and I'm not really having any difficulty yet because I really haven't gotten started. I signed up for the program. I think the first letter just went out. I'm working on these beautiful brochures. I also signed up for the ISA program so they would make the calls for me, or at least some of the calls for me. I've got this outbound probate script printed out so I can review it and rehearse it and that kind of thing. But really, I guess my question to you, Chad, would be, where should I start if I, got the ISA team setting up appointments for me?
So the ISA, 80% of the time is going to set you a phone appointment. 20% of the time we have strong enough rapport we can get it to a face-to-face appointment. So you still need to build the skill set to connect with them where the ISA left off, which is a pretty superficial level. We know there's a home, we know there's motivation. If we don't have really good rapport, we'll set the appointment and step back so you can bring your skill set in and finish it. Mm-hmm. If we have a really good rapport and engagement, then we'll go ahead and get you there face to face and give you as much information as we can about the conversation. So, but in a lot of cases, we're not going to go that deep. So you need to pick it up where we left off. So you need to get, what I would say is focus on when you have a phone appointment from the ISA, you need to be focusing on getting engagement from that point forward. So this is Sandy. You spoke to the ISA in my office earlier this week. They got you on my calendar. I just wanted to call and introduce myself and kind of, see if you thought of any questions after you guys talked before we get started. Is there anything that you would like to ask me? And just get them to open up, and they can ask you anything, and it's probably going to be, well, what do you guys do? Oh, I'm glad you asked. We actually have a team of people here that help families going through what you're going through, because we know how stressful that can be, and we know what a big impact we can make, especially when we get involved early. So, of everything on your plate, what's been the toughest thing for you guys? And then just roll right into it. But you can listen to if you haven't done this already, listen to some of the role play archive calls. We do one a month, so you have 43 hours of these conversations to go through and kind of sharpen your skills. I would print the probate seller interview sheet. That's in step 3 of Fast Track if you don't have it already, where it should be right beside, right beside of where you got the script, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that probate seller interview sheet in front of you. The idea with that is, and it's in Excel format, so you can edit the questions and switch things out. But it's the order of the questions and the information in that is very deliberate. I've tried it a million different ways, and that's where I was able to keep things moving smoothly. So we focus on you focus on identify the PR, make sure you're speaking to the right person. Find out if there is real estate. If not, still offer them some service, like offer them to go over to your family law attorney or financial planner. If there is real estate, which is the majority of times, then you move forward, find out who the decision makers are, give them permission to bring anyone they would like into the conversation with a good question like, who do you feel like should be part of these conversations going forward? So there is real estate, there is motivation, you know who the decision makers are, set the appointment. As soon as you get, and even if it's just a tentative appointment, give them permission to cancel, tell them you're going to put it on your calendar because you're super busy and they have that spot, and it's their responsibility to call and cancel. They won't. Then you talk about real estate, and it's really counterintuitive. If you're really good at FSBO or expired or any other type of seller prospecting, this can be tough, but it's in that order for a reason. Because these folks are usually they're emotionally hurting, like there's still some emotional pain there. There's a lot of the stress of having to deal with the physical and the legal aspects of this. So we move at a little slower pace in getting to the real estate conversation, but you're still there in 2 to 3 minutes. The difference is you've earned it. You get a whole lot of trust by following that kind of that progression. So I would say sit down with the probate seller interview sheet, go through, let's just say, at least 3 role play calls, and you should feel pretty confident about, picking those appointments up.
Chad, with that being said, I have the probate seller interview sheet in front of me, and besides, it says start the conversation with the probate USP, but right, the very first question is, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Executor, is there any property in this state that you would like, and it's kind of cut off, but I guess that you would like help with or something to that effect. But it sounds to me like really the thing that needs to be executed in a deliberate way would be the USP. So who I am, I'm Sandy.
The USP is really who
right?
you are, why you reached out, what
Yeah.
you have to offer, and then the open-ended emotional question. And then a lot of times they'll open up and they'll start, a lot of that information will come out as soon as you put that silence in after your question. They'll at least 80% of the time, they will spill the whole story. And you'll get to, and then it's just take good notes because they're going to tell you about their sister who lives in New York and their brother who's there and the person who's living in the house, and you'll start to hear the story, and that's where you kind of put together the next thing you say is going to solve all those problems.
Got it. All right. Well, can I role play with you here while I got you on the line here?
Sure. Are you the agent or the administrator?
I'm the agent. I'll be the agent. You'd be the administrator. Okay.
Okay.
Ring ring.
Hello.
Hi. Is this Chad?
This is Chad. Who's this?
Chad, hi, this is Sandy. My name's Sandy Minatello. Darcy gave me your number and asked me to contact you. I understand that you are the personal representative for the Jones estate.
I am.
Okay. Well, as Darcy may have explained to you, we've put together a team of experts to help people just like you going through probate. Having been through probate myself with my grandmother's estate, I know there is a ton of things to deal with, which is one of the reasons why we put together everyone from clean up and clean out crews to estate sale companies to senior moving companies to help families with this pressing situation that they have. So can I ask you, Chad, a lot of people that we work with, their most challenging prospect is dealing with real estate. Is there real estate in the in the estate? And if so, how are you dealing with it? Do you have a plan for it?
There is a house, and we're not sure right now. It's we haven't been able to get over there. It's busy. It's summertime. We have vacations and other commitments, and we haven't done anything. So it's probably going to be a couple months. If you want to take my obviously you have my number. If you want to give me a call back in a couple months, maybe we will have had time to get over there and get it dealt with.
Chad, are you the only executor, or are there co-executors as well? Or are you primarily
I'm the only
making
executor,
decisions?
but I do have a brother and a sister, and they were both in Dad's will, so they're
Got it.
They don't have all the responsibility I do, but they are trying to help where they can.
It's a lot of responsibility, and it is a lot of responsibility. Are you far from the property? I mean, is there a lot of personal property to deal with? Because that's like one of the things that can be really overwhelming for people, and that's one of the things that my team and we do best, is to help people exactly in your situation. After you've decided, what items you'd like to keep, your family likes to keep, but, then, oh my God, what are we going to do with this armoire? What are we going to do with this bed? So we have donation companies. We have, like I said, clean up, clean out crews. A lot of it, sometimes I've seen people get stuck in analysis paralysis. Are you far from the property? Have you taken a look at what all you need to deal with?
Well, it's not much, just 75 years worth of collected personal property.
not much, just 75 years.
It's just a basement full, an attic full, and a main living level full.
Sure,
It's not much.
Sure. Okay, and let me guess, they're collectors too, right?
Of collectors of everything.
Yeah.
So we haven't, that alone is probably going to take weeks, and we all have careers, and we're working, and
of course
just haven't had a chance to get over there.
Of course. Well, let me ask you something, Chad. Is everyone, like you and your brother, your sister, you guys on good terms? Do you feel like you're going to include them in the decisions that you make about settling the estate?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just we all have, we're all busy adulting our own lives.
Sure, of course. Well, that's a blessing. Well, let me ask you, what would be the best time to get together with you and, possibly if you'd like to invite your brother and your sister to get as well? It'd be, maybe a half an hour appointment, but I'd like to share with you some of the ways in which my team and I can help you with settling the estate.
I mean, like I said, we're probably months from being ready. I know that we need to get this stuff done, but realistically, there's one of me, and they're both out of town, so it's going to take me a while. So if you just want to call us back in a couple of months, that'd probably be best.
I could definitely do that, Chad. I could definitely do that. However, just so you know, that's exactly what my team and I specialize in, is expediting this process for you. So it doesn't really have to take months, because when you're talking about 75 years of collected personal property, it can be overwhelming. And like you said, we're busy adulting in our own lives. But this is what I specialize in. I mean, having gone through probate myself with my own grandmother's estate, I understand, people can get stuck on analysis paralysis. You can get stuck on stupid, oh my God, where should I start first? And that's what my team and we actually specialize in. So if you have a half an hour, I'd love to meet with you to explain how I might be able to help you expedite this process. Do you think Wednesday around 6 p.m. would work, or maybe Friday at noon?
I could probably make Wednesday work. I don't know if they can. I guess maybe if you want to call me back tomorrow, I'll see if they can make Wednesday work.
Okay. Why don't I put Wednesday on the calendar at 6 p.m., and would you like to meet at the property so we can take a look at all what we need to deal with? And if your brother and sister can come along, great. And if they can't, that's all right too.
Yeah, sure. That'll be fine.
Okay, very well. And what was the address of the property?
It was 123 Walnut.
Excellent. I'll see you there at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Okay, and feel free. You've got my number. If anything changes, just not a problem. Just give me a call ahead of time, please.
All right, we'll break. You did a phenomenal job. You're strong.
I'm giving you a round of applause.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
mean, you are comfortable in your skin, that's for sure. And you put your personality into it. You put your story and your empathy into it. Like, there are so many things I can compliment. Before I forget, I do want to critique you on a couple of things.
Okay.
The first thing is you asked me a question about the estate sale company. You said, do you live close to the, which I think is an excellent question. Are you close to the house? And then you started telling me all about everything you could do to get the personal property dealt with. And you didn't let me answer the question for probably 45 seconds.
Oh.
You
Okay.
saved yourself because you asked me the same question again. But while you did that, I was in the mindset of a prospect. I'm like, well, hell, she asked me a question and talked over top of me. So I would just be cognizant of that. You could say, you know, are you pretty close to the house? Let me answer and say, okay, great. Well, listen, the reason I ask, we find that if we can meet with families and kind of take a look at the personal property situation, what we usually find is we can turn your mountain into a molehill, and you could have gone for the appointment right there. Because
Wow, I like
you
that.
set it up strong, like, are you close to the property? And then you were leading into the personal property part. And the personal property is a great opening. It's a great reason to get to your outcome. And your only outcome on the phone is get face-to-face. Not to get a listing, not to buy a house, just get there. That's the only outcome. So you missed an opportunity earlier in the conversation, and you really elaborated on all your personal property solutions, which is great, but you could have pinned me down and then told me more about that. Not that you did a bad job at all. I think you would have certainly gotten that appointment. I mean, the way we did it, it would have been a good appointment. The other thing, there was another opening where I saw another opening for you where you could have, and I've already forgotten it. But
I could have made a 10-minute conversation into a 3-minute conversation.
No, you weren't. It was just that one area where you're too wordy.
Okay.
Like, most of that was really useful information. It's just that one area you kind of ran off. And trust me, I'm guilty of the same. Like, I do it myself. And I don't always critique my own phone calls. But other than that, I mean, 95 out of 100 for sure.
Yeah, Sandy, I was going to say, if I could, as about a 10-year real estate coach, first of all, that was the best subscriber role play that we've heard in the 6 years we've been doing this, in my opinion. And I wanted to tell you one thing that you did exceptionally well that most people don't is you listened, you repeated and acknowledged what they said, and you didn't disagree with them. And you did all that, and then you sort of had you kind of got their permission to go on and disagree with them, but it didn't sound like you were disagreeing. And that's, it was, well, I understand, and you repeated exactly what they said. You made it a very smooth conversation, and never once, even though you were not agreeing with them, it sounded like you were agreeing with them, because you did such a good job of repeating and affirming what they had said, and that is so key. I mean, they kept telling you, Chad kept saying you didn't want to do anything for 2 months, and it sounded like you agreed, but you kept asking for the appointment in a very agreeable way. It was exceptional. I think it was the best one that I've heard.
Yeah,
so good job.
I'll go back. I mean, I gave you my critical points. The good points are your probate USP was strong. Your empathy statement is rock solid. I've been there. I had to do this for my grandmother. You explained to me the reasons, like some of the things you can do. I was being tough on you with the 2-month thing, and you kept bringing me back, and that's awesome. That's where a lot of folks get wrapped around the axle. They'll actually apologize and get off the phone, which is the opposite. Like, I'm giving you resistance. That means we have you got a fish on the line, right? So you did a ton, right? Oh, you indicated you found out who the decision makers were. You did not give me you gave me limited choices in setting the appointment. Is Wednesday at 6 or Friday at 1 better? And that's all. That was exactly like that's perfect. And it was a real role play. I mean, have you been on the phones yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you're going to find this is going to be this will be the easiest prospecting you've ever done. I guarantee you. Like it's hard for a lot of people because they're so focused on what has worked for them on other lead types. And it sounds like you've really had an open mind. I'm curious, I'd like for you to share with everybody on this call how you started with no experience and got to where you are today. Like, what was your step over the last week or two just to help folks that are new, that are trying to get where you are? Share with us how you got there.
Well, as I mentioned before, I don't really feel like I'm having any conflicts because I literally have not started yet. I haven't made one call. What I did was I listened to a lot of your past calls. I read your probate script. I read the USP over and over again, and I read this seller interview sheet. And you know, and I'm still kind of scared to make calls, so I ended up hiring the ISP team.
You got nothing to be scared of. Get your butt on the phone.
I just said, okay, I'll pay the money. You guys call for me.
You will convert. I think with your attitude, I think you'll out-convert our ISA. So if you're not planning to make your own phone calls, you probably should.
Okay. All right. I hope and I look forward to reporting my success to you guys.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Well, thanks for stepping up.
Thanks so much, Sandy.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
We got 2 more in the queue, guys. We got plenty of room for more. First of all, I want to compliment you guys. We've got nearly 100 people on the call, and it's the day before the 4th of July. So you guys apparently took off early. You had nothing else to do, or you're just committed to making this a great summer. I have a feeling it's the latter, but great turnout for the day before the 4th of July. We appreciate it. We have 2 more in the queue, plenty of room for more. Just hit *6 and then hit 1. And next up is phone number ending in 5418. You're up next.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Happy 4th of July to you all.
Same to you.
This is Rick. I'm an agent in the San Francisco Bay or East Bay area, and I haven't started approaching the attorneys or financial planners. And I appreciate anything you'd be able to contribute to that. That would be great on how to approach that.
I feel pretty ready for this conversation. At 9:30 last night, I was on the phone with an attorney from LA, and he's very shrewd, and he assumed that that I was, you know, a typical person asking for something. And we were talking for a different reason. He actually owns an inheritance advance company. And I'm trying to find an expert, like someone who owns a company that offers inheritance advance loans, so I can do an interview and so you guys can learn more from that. As it turns out, he only owns that company because he's a probate attorney, and there's a lot of opportunity in both, you know, with the people he's representing. So we jumped into the attorney conversation, and it was a perfect guy because he was, you know, Southern California, big ego, big paycheck, big house. Like, he didn't have time for me, and I had to, we had a really candid start to the conversation, and he appreciated that. You know, he was, when I kind of put him on the spot and I was ready to hang up the phone, he's like, you know what, I like you. So I used the match and mirror on him. Well, we ended up talking. I'm like, and you'll probably see him on a video. But the approach that we teach you is show the attorneys, especially ones like him, if you can show them how your service picks up where his leaves off, because he thinks he can deal with it all. But if you can show, and he was a very money-motivated attorney, which, you know, there's not very many of those out there at all. If you can show them how they can make more money, then they're really going to be interested. So show them how you don't need to be babysat. Your business complements theirs by taking a lot of the redundancy out of their process, answering questions that are non-legal, helping with things that are non-legal that the personal representative, you know, when they're stressed out, they call the attorney and be like, what do I do? All this stuff is here, and you know. So they don't have to deal with that. You can absorb a lot of that. And so anyways, he was like, yeah. He said, there's nothing real estate you can do to help me or an investor. He's like, you know, we got it. We got a system. We've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, so how many real estate agents have ever walked into you and said, and I jumped into it, And I'm like, you need to understand our service, we actually pick up where you leave off. So you leave 75% of the responsibility to the personal representative, and you tell them what to do, but you don't help them, and we do. So we consider you part of our team. You handle the legal part. We handle the rest. Now, how many people have ever been in this office offering to help your clients make more equity so you get a bigger paycheck and do less work? And he's like, well, no one's ever said that. No one would say that. And I said, our people say that. And then the whole conversation changed. He's like, tell me more about what you do and what you teach people. And then he was my best buddy, right? So a guy like that was super abrasive, super aggressive, he expected me to be typical. He expected our agents to be typical. And when he slowed down enough to listen, like he saw a ton of value in what I was talking about. So a real estate professional that actually comes in and joins the team with the attorney, not come in with their hand out asking for something. So let me show you how I can protect your client's best interest, maximize the equity that they get out of the property, even if that means, and the attorney, he had never heard of vacant house insurance. He didn't know how to help people maximize the money to monetize the personal property. He was just focused on what he could bill for. And by me showing him how I could, liquidate personal property to raise money to renovate real property, to raise the equity that the family, he gets a higher sales price. So and in his scenario, he's like, if I worked with you, I'd make an extra $2,000 a deal, and I would do that. And he's like, but you're not out here. You're not here. But anyways, that was just a conversation I had last night. If you can show the attorneys how you're proactive, you're systematic, you're reaching out because you can make a difference for these families, then you don't have to ask for referrals. They'll want to send them to you. And he affirmed what every other attorney we've ever talked to says. I don't refer real estate agents because I don't want that responsibility. And it's where most of the apprehension is because they refer to a real estate agent who knows nothing about probate or investors. They don't know anything about probate. Once a deal is in escrow, then all of a sudden they become the babysitter. Where's my commission check? College is coming up. I got to pay fall tuition. This deal has to close. When's it closing? When's the next court date? And they just don't want to deal with that. So oftentimes they tell their clients, just don't do anything until I call you. And then they don't, and then when they're toward the end of probate, they'll put the house on the market and deal with that, and they'll just tell them to go choose an agent that they already know, or go anyone can find 10 with one Google search. But what I found with him, and what I found coaching hundreds of people who actually get out there and do this, the attorneys are shocked that someone is willing to offer help in so many different ways. And you're going to monetize it through real estate. I mean, we get paid pretty damn big fees for what we do anyways. So you're only monetizing one or two spokes, but you're bringing all these other people to the table to bring value and maximize equity for the estate. And the attorneys respect the hell out of that.
Does that help, Rick?
Yes, it did.
Hey, two other things I was going to add. I don't know if you've been on our previous calls. We do have a really good Tri-Fold brochure on our website that you can print, or you can have us print out, and it's a good lead behind for the attorneys. A lot of our agents will bring it with a brochure holder and say, here's something you can leave up front for your clients. And many of them have told us the secretary will call back in a couple of weeks and ask them to bring more brochures by. That's obviously one thing you could do. And I know another thing Chad has talked about on previous calls, go through your leads and find the ones that don't have an attorney, and just say to him, hey, I specialize in probate, so do you. Occasionally I see people that don't have an attorney. Would you mind if I referred them to you? If he's an aggressive attorney, he's looking for business, he would love something like that. So just provide as much service as you can, and you'll do great with it. And I don't know if Chad, he's mentioned this before, but the attorneys, the stop-by visits tend to work better than getting on the phone. So, pick out your attorneys that are doing multiple deals every month, and pick out 2 or 3 or 4 of them. You're just going to stop by the office every week with a handful of brochures and get in a face-to-face conversation. Chad had a good conversation on the phone because it was a confirmed appointment. But many of the attorneys, when you call, you're going to get the gatekeeper, and unless you actually stop by the office, it can be difficult to get past that gatekeeper.
Yep. Definitely
Make sense?
a face-to-face conversation.
Yep.
Thank you. Is it best to go in the afternoon and then the attorney's not there? Should leave by the brochure, or just I'll come back later when find a window of opportunity to get back in from the gatekeeper.
I would leave at least one. Like a lot of folks will take a stack of brochures and even like a plexiglass stand. And I think it's surprising to a lot of folks that the attorneys are willing to let you put that stuff in the lobby or on the front desk because it does complement what they're doing. So you might want to just, if you do that, if you have the whole stack, I would say leave one and then try to say, listen, if I could leave this for Jane Doe, and possibly if you could have her call me tomorrow, maybe we could set up a time to meet face to face and just leave one behind. But I think that, you can always go back and follow up, and at 25 cents or whatever it costs you to leave that, it's certainly worth doing.
All right. And lastly, would you be able to share with me other professionals to contact besides just probate attorneys?
Sure.
We're in
referral.
California. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I did want to interject that in California, there's even in the poorest of neighborhoods in my area, when people pass, it's in a trust. So I need to get back to that too. So
yeah,
if you could help with that, that'd be great.
It's very common in your county, like in your area. Everybody knows 94 attorneys and has an estate plan, usually a living trust. So what you'll find is, you'll have 2 million people in a county there, and you have 25 or 30 probates a month. The good news is your prices are sky high, so you can still make $1 million a year on 20 leads. We have case studies of people who have done that in a little further north than you. But as far as your referral network, you should, obviously probate attorneys are the easiest because we give you a list of them and show you how many deals they've done in the last month, or how many cases they're handling in the current month would be a better statement, a more accurate statement. But in addition to that, to get the trust business, you should be building the same relationship and using the same approach with family law attorneys, registered investment advisors, wealth managers, nursing home employees, social workers even, anyone who has contact with people in that transition phase. The baby boomers, we have 78 million people coming into that phase of life, and hardly any of them have planned for that. Even if they do have a trust, most long-term care insurance, and they don't have a whole lot of liquidity. They are, everything's held in real estate or they've got debts on vehicles and stuff. So if you look at savings, even in the more affluent areas, even in the state of California, a lot of folks, even if they do have a trust, the same urgency is probably there to liquidate assets so they can settle everything out. So the best way to meet them is to be a referral when that conversation starts with the wealth manager, with the family law attorney. Because typically the family law attorney will be the trustee, and the beneficiaries will go meet with them to figure out what to do when something happens. So approach them the same way with the attorney. Help show them how they're a spoke in your wheel, and you consider them a partner, and what you do complements what they do and helps their clients maximize wealth. And the reason that's important to the guy that set the trust up, it's important that you maximize the wealth for the family. For the nursing home, if you create liquidity in the estate, then you allow them to get ahead in a bed, so they have every incentive to get that done quickly if they want to attract people into their facility. Investment advisors, their job is to make sure the family is retaining as much wealth as possible. So when it comes to, listen, I think we need to downsize and buy a condo. What do you think about that, Jerry? I think it's a great idea, and there's actually a guy here in town that can kind of do everything for you. He's got a moving company. They can move stuff to storage if you buy a condo and you're not quite ready to get rid of all your stuff. He can help you get it in acclimatized storage. He can find you a condo. He can get your house sold, and you can do it all with one conversation. Would you like me to give him a call? Have him give you a call this afternoon? And that's how your partner should be referring you. Like as part of their normal day-to-day conversations, they should understand your business model and understand where it fits into their business. So when they're having these conversations, even with these like really affluent people who have estate plans, they should say, you know what, there's a guy here in town that has everything under one roof. You should call him.
Excellent.
That help, Rick?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, you're very welcome.
If I can't run with that, I'm in trouble.
Take it and run and come back on Thursdays and let us know how you did. We appreciate you calling in.
All right.
We have 2 more in the queue, guys. That should take us up to the top of the hour. Next up is phone number ending in 0036. You're up next. 0036. Andrew, are you there? Make sure you unmute us. Andrew, are you there? All right, like I said, we only have 1 more in the queue. Andrew, hit *6 and hit 1 again, and hopefully you'll get back in. For some reason, we can't hear you. Next up is phone number ending in 7176. You're up next.
Yes, hi. My name is Angelo.
Yes, sir.
So I live in San Francisco, but I'm very new at probate. I'm a real estate investor, not a realtor, and I'm going to be basically doing virtually wholesale in probate in Nevada from San Francisco. I have a team in place over there that I just put together. I haven't sent a mailing out yet. I'm ready for it, but not yet. Should go out this week on Friday. My question to you is it crazy trying to do what I'm doing from basically virtually, even though I have a team in place in Nevada?
I don't think so at all. I mean, we have a gentleman, and I don't know, Dave, if you're on here, Dave from Denver. We've got a gentleman that lives in Denver, and he's working both his home market and Brevard County, Florida, our home market. And he really has no ties in Brevard, but he still found success. He wasn't as far along as you are. He didn't even have the team when he started. So you're going to have to, you need to set I'm assuming you have an acquisition manager that goes on appointments, correct?
No.
No, I don't. Who's on your team? Is it your vendor team that you're referencing then?
Well, the team that I went online on your webpage and what you're recommending.
Okay.
I have a realtor.
So who goes, where I'm trying to get, who goes on the appointment when in Nevada, who's looking at the house?
That's my problem, I guess, because I was going to send the realtor when basically it's a retail sale. And then when it's an wholesale sale, I usually do it on the phone. But with probate, based on what I'm hearing, it may be a problem.
Maybe not. So you just have to get creative, and you need to have strong vendor relationships. For example, if you need to get a look at the house before you're comfortable with your offer, like before you can make an offer, you can actually set your estate sale partner up as the primary point of contact to go on the appointment, and then have them come back with photos and everything, and then make a follow-up call. So you might have to change your approach. You might not be buying them on the very first phone call, but you might be able to leverage contractors, clean out crews, estate sale companies to get over there, look at the personal property, give you a picture of the overall situation, and then you can decide what to do. Is it Henderson County by chance?
Yeah, no, it's Clark County.
Clark, okay. So there's a gentleman in our mastermind group. His name is Steve Hoops, and he may be able to help you out finding your ground team, and he could be a good realtor. He's got 30 years probate experience, and he's actually has been looking to, he refers opportunities out, and he's also offered to help others in that area. So if you don't have a solid realtor on your team, you might look Steve up in our group and see if maybe he can help you out with finding the right vendor partners. I would say in 30 years, he's probably met the right people to help you out. But I certainly think you can do it. I mean, even without him, if you're going at it alone, you just have to, you've got to figure out, because a lot of this it's just a lot easier face to face. But have you been successful virtually wholesaling and with other lists?
Well, I've been out of real estate for the last 9 years. So I've been in the restaurant business, and now I'm going back into real estate. In the past, I was holding houses, renting them, flipped some of them, and occasionally I got an wholesale deal, but it was occasional. It was not intended. I just found a deal that I was able to flip. Now I'm focusing on that. I'm back into real estate, and basically I'm very new back into real estate after 9 years. So I haven't done a deal yet.
I think the first thing you have to solve for is who do you get in front of them to build real rapport and actually look at the house so you're accurately estimating repair costs. And that's the struggle I see with virtual wholesalers. Most of them have a contractor that they can rely on, and you might even pay a retainer. Just be like, listen, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month, but when I say you need to go look at a house, it's a 24-hour window. And you can find those people that will be willing to, on their way home, they'll go look at the houses you ask them to, take photos, maybe even put a lockbox on it if the seller will agree to meet them. And then because the challenge is once you get under contract and you've got buyers that need access to the property, managing the logistics of that from afar is really the most difficult part of virtual wholesaling. If you're a good negotiator and you've got experience, getting it under contract's not a big deal. It's a lot of times the challenge is how do you dealing with getting the tenants out, getting access to have your buyers show the property. Those are some of the things I think you'll have to address. But as far as what the phone work, I don't think you have a whole lot to worry about. You just need to be able to refer to somebody on the ground. So when you say, well, listen, Jerry could meet you on Friday at 3. I'm actually out of town, but could you meet with Friday at 3 so he can take a look and kind of get a good understanding of the situation? So you need to find that person to point to locally to get there, meet with them face to face, and they need to really understand your business model and what you're offering. And I'll say this, you're identifying as a real estate investor. I would encourage you to listen to some of these past calls, our mastermind calls and role play calls. Our approach is to cast a very wide net and offer a lot of different services rather than just going in and saying, hey, I'm a cash buyer, can close quickly on your terms, on your timeline. That shuts a lot of people down. And Vegas is a competitive market. There are investors offering that kind of stuff. So be sure don't reduce your offer down to just one thing that serves you. Make sure it's something that's going to be attractive to them, and then you can very quickly spot the motivation and turn the conversation into go down the acquisition path.
All right, sir. And what's your first name, sir?
Angelo.
Angelo, we'll tell Steve Hoops. I think he'd be a great connection for you. We'll if you like, we'll give him your information and have him reach out to you. Okay, we'll take care of that. Chad, I have to leave shortly after 3, and we have 3 more in the queue. Are you on the computer or not?
I'm not, and I have that glitch. We can just, we'll just. Can you stay another 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't like to leave anybody in the queue. We have 3 there now. So thank you, Angelo. We'll have Steve get in touch with you, and let's jump to the next one. Oh, next up, Andrew, you found your way back, 0036.
Yes, I was kind enough to mute myself, but I forgot that I did that.
No problem.
My question, I will make it short since we don't have much time. I am trying to approach local probate attorneys on a warm basis, meaning that I have somebody who knows them or something like that. What I keep running into is, the people that we represent already have an attorney or an agent or something of that matter. What I've decided to do, and I just want a little input, is I'm still giving them a monthly newsletter of the jobs that we're doing and all the value added, hoping that will at least show that A, I'm active, and B, I can help them without directly, overtly asking them for any of their leads. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's a phenomenal idea. So you're actively working these deals already, right?
Yes, I have. Actually, I'll be honest, I'm working my first one that's not quite probate, but it might as well be that. So it's a landscaper, it's an estate sale company, it's a contractor, it's a inspector that walked through the property to say you need to fix this, you want to fix that, you need an answer for this, that sort of thing. So in my mind, it's a probate deal.
Yeah. Now I think so. The suggestion I make to a lot of people is, wrap up your past deals in a half page or less, and make a page like front and back with just 4 or 5 stories, and a couple of paragraphs tell the story. The first deal I ever did, I stepped into a situation where a house had been on the market for 12 months, expired with no offers, no showings. Mom had a stroke, life changed in a cocaine heartbeat. Daughter, she was getting kicked out of the hospital. Daughter needed money today to get her into long-term care. I put $8,000 in her hand that day, and within 2 weeks we had $25,000 in her hand, and within 8 months she closed with no negotiation. We sold it full price. And just wrap those stories up in just really concisely, and attorneys will appreciate that. And you can show how if you were absent from that deal, it would be a much different story. I think it's a great idea. Delivered in person, like we said before, these are face-to-face.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem that they want you to be your first. You know what I mean? They want to say, oh, he's already done it, that sort of thing, versus, oh, you haven't done it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's social proof, man. We all look for it. Like, you don't want to show up and find out your dentist just graduated yesterday, right?
Right.
We want to see some gray hairs when he's looking in our mouth. So it's just social proof. I think it's you have those stories, leverage the hell out of them. Like, it's gonna show them that, and you're being really proactive. And so the Tri-Fold brochures that we offer kind of wrap the big offer that we try to help people understand in 30 seconds or less. It's a lot to digest. That piece can be really good and say, here's what we do, and here's the net result for people in our community. Let me know when he can have a cup of coffee, like if the attorney's not there. And even if you just have to drop those off. But, I guarantee no one else has done that. And all the attorneys that I talk to, I'm like, how many real estate professionals have ever walked into your office and offered you something of value? And guess what? 100% of them laugh at that question, because nobody's ever done it. And I would say, I've trained, close to 3,000 people in this space, and I'll bet you less than 2 dozen have ever gotten out of their comfort zone and actually did this the way they should have. And it's no surprise. Those 2 dozen people are cashing checks. Like, they are getting referrals because these attorneys, no one else did it. There's a huge opportunity to step up and do this.
Yeah, what I like is you go and you leave one brochure. You don't leave 8 brochures, you leave 1. They have to call you because they need more.
Right.
Or they're curious.
Hey, Jim, it's 3 o'clock, and I cannot get logged into the free conference.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I apologize. We got 2 more in the queue. The very last person, we may have to have you call in directly, but that's okay. I hate to leave people on with questions unanswered. Andrew, did that help you? You good?
I'm good. Again,
all right. Thank you, sir. Next up is 0654. You're up next.
Yes, hi, Chad. This is Kenneth from Southern California.
Hey, Ken.
Thanks for the call. I was on the Mastermind class call this
Probate
Mastery call this past week. Well, Thursday I was driving to Tennessee, so instead of being on my computer, I was on my phone, and somehow I couldn't respond. I had a question then. I am the probate expert because I have graduated from your course. Okay. But I am an investor as opposed to a licensed agent at this time. So I'm working with an agent. We have an agreement that we set up. I don't want to explain it because I don't want to get him in trouble in any way. But he doesn't understand things necessarily from the ATL perspective. the leads are very, very, small in terms of what I'll be working with, like 125, I guess, a month in the area that I'm working in. And I'm just wondering two things. One is, because he doesn't necessarily understand it from the ATL standpoint, the question was, how do I take the lead when he, from his perspective as a real estate agent, has been doing that for at least a decade or more? Secondly, how much of the information should I be giving him in terms of the way we do it? Because at some point, if he understood what I understood and he has all the leads that I have, I wouldn't be needed by him anymore. Now, so that may not be from from an abundance mindset, but can you answer that for me, those two questions?
So you chose a partner you don't trust. Is that fair?
Well, I don't know him well enough to trust him. I haven't known him as a business person long enough to trust him, but that's fair.
Well, that's the first step, is get yourself to that point. Partnerships will never work unless it's got to be built on trust. So,
Hey, Ken, if you have us on speakerphone, we're getting a really bad feedback. Did you pick up?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Chad.
It's still happening. It may be on your end, Jim.
Hold on. No. On me. I had you on Bluetooth. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, that can make it up for sure.
Yeah.
So, one thing you could do, you could sign some sort of a non-compete, and it's only worth the amount of money you're willing to throw at litigation. But it could, let them know you're serious about this. Like, listen, I want this to be a good relationship, but we don't know each other, so please just sign this saying you're not going to, steal my idea and go be my competition. A better way to approach it is continue to build the relationship organically. Maybe, you can send them to this call archive. You can, the first thing I thought is, why the hell is his agent not on this call? But it sounds like you're still trying to figure out how much access you want to give them because you're afraid maybe they'll be your competition. Is that agent also an investor, or are they just on brokerage?
Both, yeah, they're both.
They're both, okay. So, you could look at an NDA to protect yourself, or a non-compete to protect yourself in the short term. That can backfire on you by, you're kind of saying in the beginning, I don't really trust you, so sign this piece of paper and I'll get my leads over to you. If you can do it organically, that's obviously going to be better. How did you find this person? Was it just cold calling until you found someone that you felt comfortable with?
No, he's a friend of a family member. We kind of converse from time to time on Facebook, that kind of thing. But he and I don't have that personal relationship that the family member has with him. And
how far apart are you geographically?
Same city.
Oh, well, go buy him a damn beer.
No, we've actually sat down and talked about what we want to do. That part of it is, but I guess my concern is, like you had mentioned on the call, okay, I could go in from a investor standpoint and offer them a wholesale price, and he could go in from the standpoint of a listing. But there's a way that you do things in terms of, like you were in the course, you were talking about the 2 hours that you spend and all the information and material that you bring. I'm not even sure that he knows all of that. And I think you were going to put a link on the course, the wrap-up, but I didn't see it. So I don't really know what – I would rather at this point, while we're building this relationship, more or less tell him, these are the things that I need you as an agent to do. Because once I turn that part over, once they – the listing, he controls that, and I don't have a problem with that part of it, or him doing what we agreed to. It's just that, again, 125 leads a month.
Sure.
At that point, I don't really need an additional, person competing with me for the leads in my area, if
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Kenneth. Like
Hey, Chad, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm gonna go ahead and go. When you're all done, just hang up, and I'll come when I get back. I will record the call. I got to run. Tim was trying to sign on, and he couldn't either. And we have Ken is the last one in the queue this week. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. Sorry I have to leave. Happy 4th of July, and Ken, I'll let you finish up. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.
Right, so, Kenneth, you're the point of contact. You're doing the phone prospecting. Is that right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Here's what I recommend.
Okay.
Just so you guys can build trust as you do this. Like this is practice under fire, right? So you're making the phone calls. You're going to spot that intersection when you see equity and then when you see high or low motivation. Those are like the two main intersections that we look for to know where we're taking these conversations, right? So you have the luxury of being in the driver's seat there. So when you know, I mean, and you bought houses, you know, within 30 seconds to a minute, you know if you're going to buy a house at 50 cents on the dollar. You can just hear and feel that motivation. So when you know that's that, then you can just go on the appointment yourself. When you feel like you're going to have to offer options ranging from a cash offer all the way to fully renovating the home or just selling retail, then you're going to set an appointment for you and your partner. And ideally, until we get this up and running, he doesn't need to know everything you know on the phones. He just needs, and if you're evaluating, do you feel comfortable in the way you evaluate properties?
Yes.
Okay. And you feel comfortable getting to like a retail value as well as a wholesale value?
Not as comfortable as I do, with the wholesale value, but yeah.
So here's what I would recommend. So you go, just take 2 hours and set up an appointment with him. Be like, hey man, I'm going to buy lunch and drop by your office, and sit down and strategize together and say, here's how I want to approach this. I know when there's an extreme level of motivation and a house can be bought for a deep discount, I'm just going to set that appointment, get it on my calendar, and I'll go. When we're going to offer options, we're going to go on the appointments together. If I make an offer and they flinch, I'm willing to leave to get out of the way. You can present me as your investor, and then I'll leave, and you can kind of play that good cop, bad cop role. That's the only way I know to really make this work. I've failed at it a lot of different ways, trying to hand off from an investor to an agent, and it just shatters rapport. But when you're both there, and if you think, well, I'm going to throw this offer out anyways before we offer to list it, that's a really good way to make it work. And did you watch on Monday? We released a case study from David Pinnell. Have you had a chance to watch that?
No.
So go to our blog, go to alltheleads.com, click on blog, and watch that case study. David and I talked a lot about this, and it's an hour-long conversation. We talked about a lot of things, but this was one part of it, how he and his partner are approaching this. And what they're finding is that they send two people on the appointment. The investor makes the offer and skins out, and then the realtor will land the deal, whether it's an acquisition or a listing. It's kind of the good cop, bad cop approach. So if they do flinch and you shatter rapport from the investor standpoint, you still have the realtor there to pick up the pieces and be like, hey, listen, we can keep this in my top desk drawer and talk about what it looks like getting, to maximize the equity. Just know that we always have that offer to fall back on. You don't have to take that number. I know it's scary. And they can pick up the pieces and move forward and list the property. And that's been really effective for them. They're in a market with literally 30,000 competitors and all the iBuyers, and he'll probably do close to, if not over, $1 million this year with that approach. And 60% of their deals are wholesale, 40% are retail, and they're buying on average at 55 cents on the dollar. Even though Zillow and Knock and Open Door, they're offering 80 cents on the dollar. So it's very effective So what I would do is sit down with your partner for a couple hours and just set clear expectations. So when there's a high level of motivation, I'll go on these. When we think we're going to have to offer options or it's going to be a listing, we'll approach it this way. And maybe you even say, if you know there's no chance of a cash offer, if it's just not in their best interest, just send him on the appointment. But I find in all areas of life, the best thing you can do is just have a really open, honest conversation about tell him what you're worried about. Be like, listen, you could take me out of this if I teach you everything. Like, can you, and just have a conversation. If you feel comfortable after you guys talk about your approach and your strategy, then cut him loose in the Probate Master recording. So, or at least on session 3, so he understands how, how you're trained to do the business. And you said something, I think what you're looking for was a sample listing package. And that was
right.
in the session 3 recap. There's a Dropbox link to an actual listing package that I used.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Oh, okay. You're not finished.
No, that's okay.
By all means.
It's we'll let everybody go. So guys, thanks so much for being here. I'll try to finish out for Jim his famous saying. Thanks for taking an hour out of your day. I want to challenge each and every one of you. Take one thing you heard here today, one thing that inspired you, one great idea. Get out there, put into action, and come back next week to tell us about your success. Thanks so much. Make it a great day.